The city lights shimmer in the distance, but inside Mr. Whitmore's mansion, everything glows even brighter. Crystal chandeliers hang from the ceiling, reflecting light on the polished marble floors. He adjusts his silk tie in front of a gold-trimmed mirror, admiring his own reflection. Mr. Whitmore is a self-made millionaire, or at least, that's how he tells the story. He built his wealth through real estate and high-end investments, but those who work for him know the truth. He steps on people to get ahead. Greedy, arrogant, and cold-hearted, he believes that those who struggle simply don't work hard enough. Outside his mansion, just a few miles away, Lisa Carter sits at her kitchen table, staring at an eviction notice. Her hands tremble as she reads it again. 3 days. That's all she has left before she and her 2 kids, James, 10, and Ava, 7, have nowhere to go. Lisa used to believe in hard work. She still does. But no matter how much she pushes herself, taking double shifts as a waitress, cleaning houses on weekends, it's never enough. Bills pile up faster than she can pay them. Food runs out before the next paycheck arrives. James and Ava sit quietly in the next room. They don't complain, but Lisa sees the hunger in their eyes. They've learned not to ask for things because they know she can't afford them. Tonight, the power is out. Lisa couldn't pay the bill. She lights a candle and takes a deep breath. She has one last hope. Mr. Whitmore. She's heard stories about him, how he helps new businesses grow, how he donates to charities for publicity. Maybe, just maybe, if she asks him in person, he'll help. A small loan, a job, anything. She doesn't want to beg, but for her children, she will. The next morning, Lisa stands in front of Whitmore Enterprises, gripping her purse tightly. The towering glass building makes her feel even smaller. She hesitates before stepping inside. The receptionist barely glances at her. "Do you have an appointment?" Lisa swallows hard. "No, but I really need to speak to Mr. Whitmore." The woman raises an eyebrow. "He doesn't take walk-ins." Lisa leans closer, lowering her voice. "Please, it's important." With an annoyed sigh, the receptionist picks up the phone. A few minutes later, Lisa is escorted to Whitmore's office. The moment she steps inside, she feels out of place. Expensive leather chairs, an antique desk, a panoramic view of the city. Mr. Whitmore sits behind the desk, typing something on his laptop. He doesn't look up. "Make it quick," he says. Lisa's voice shakes. My name is Lisa Carter. I live a few miles from your estate. I have 2 children, and we're being evicted in 3 days. I work 2 jobs, but it's not enough." He still doesn't look at her. "And?" She exhales, gathering her courage. "I was hoping for a small loan, just enough to keep us in our home. I'd pay it back, I promise. Or if there's any job you have, I can clean, file papers, anything." Mr. Whitmore finally looks up. He scans her from head to toe, then leans back in his chair. "You expect me to just give you money?" His voice is laced with amusement. Lisa's face burns with shame. "I'll work for it. I just need a chance." He chuckles, shaking his head. "That's the problem with people like you, always looking for handouts." Tears prick her eyes, but she doesn't let them fall. "I work hard," she says softly. "Not hard enough." He leans forward. "You want my advice? Try working smarter." She opens her mouth to respond, but he's already looking back at his laptop, dismissing her. Lisa stands there for a moment, gripping her purse so tightly her knuckles turn white. Then, without another word, she turns and walks out. She doesn't cry. Not yet. But as she steps back onto the street, the weight of hopelessness settles over her. She tried. And now she has no idea what to do next. Lisa walks home with heavy steps. The sun is setting, casting long shadows on the cracked sidewalk. She clutches her purse, but it holds no solutions, no hope. Only a few crumpled bills, barely enough for a meal. When she gets home, James and Ava are waiting, their little faces lighting up when they see her. "Did you get the money, Mama?" James asks, hope in his voice. Lisa forces a smile, but her heart aches. Not yet, baby, but I'm trying. The kids don't ask more. They're used to disappointment. Lisa checks the fridge, half a loaf of bread, a few eggs, and a nearly empty carton of milk. She makes them small sandwiches, keeping her own stomach empty. That night, she sits at the table with a pen and paper, making calls to every place she can think of. Loan offices, charities, churches. Each call ends the same way. We're sorry, but we can't help at this time. By midnight, her head is in her hands. The next morning, the eviction notice looms over her. 2 days left. She walks to the community shelter, hoping for a temporary place to stay. The line is long, filled with other families just like hers. When she finally gets to the front, the worker gives her a sad look. I'm sorry, but we're at full capacity. Lisa grips the edge of the counter. Please, I have kids. I know, the woman says gently. But there's nothing we can do. Lisa walks away, fighting the sting in her eyes. She has no options left, and the clock is still ticking. On the last night before eviction, Lisa walks the streets with James and Ava, their small hands in hers. They have nowhere to go. James stops suddenly, tugging on her hand. Mama, I'm hungry. Lisa kneels, brushing his curls. I know, baby, we'll eat soon. Ava sways on her feet, dizzy. Before Lisa can react, her little girl collapses onto the pavement. Panic grips her chest. Ava! She lifts her daughter in her arms, her skin cold, her breathing weak. She looks up and sees Mr. Whitmore's mansion across the street. Her heart pounds. She doesn't want to go back there, not after how he treated her. But her baby needs help. With shaky steps, she crosses the road and knocks on his grand wooden door. A moment later, it swings open. Mr. Whitmore stands there in his silk robe, holding a glass of wine. His face twists in annoyance. You again? Lisa shifts Ava in her arms, tears in her eyes. Please, my daughter fainted. She hasn't eaten, just some food, anything. Mr. Whitmore sighs. Not my problem. Lisa's voice breaks. She's just a child. He pulls a $5 bill from his pocket and holds it out. Here, get her a snack. Lisa stares at the money. Anger and humiliation burn inside her. Then, without another word, Mr. Whitmore slams the door in her face. Lisa stands there in the cold, Ava still limp in her arms. She presses her lips together, forcing herself not to cry. But deep inside, something shifts. She will remember this. A week later, Mr. Whitmore wakes up to chaos. His phone won't stop ringing. His assistant is frantic. Sir, you need to see the news. He frowns, grabbing his tablet. The headline nearly makes his heart stop. Whitmore Enterprises under investigation for fraud. His jaw tightens. This is a joke. But it isn't. Reporters flood his driveway. Investors are backing out. His business partners, the ones who praised him, are nowhere to be found. He rushes to his office, but the moment he steps inside, security is waiting. Sir, one of them says, you're no longer allowed on the premises. Mr. Whitmore stares at them. Excuse me? The man clears his throat. The board voted you out, effective immediately. His pulse pounds. They can't do that. But they can. His accounts are frozen. His properties are under legal review. The cars, the mansion, the wealth, everything starts slipping away. He calls his closest friends. No one answers. By the end of the week, he's desperate. His mansion is seized. His name is dragged through the mud. His empire crumbles overnight. And just like that, the powerful man is now powerless. For the first time in his life, he understands what it's like to be helpless, hungry, alone, homeless. As he wanders the cold streets, reality hits him like a brick. There's no one left to help him. Just like he once turned Lisa away, the world now turns its back on him. Mr. Whitmore used to wake up in silk sheets, with breakfast prepared by a private chef. Now he wakes up on a park bench, shivering. His expensive suit is wrinkled and stained, his once polished shoes scuffed beyond repair. The world moves around him, but no one spares him a glance. He tries calling old friends, former business partners, anyone who used to shake his hand and laugh at his jokes. No one answers. He swallows his pride and approaches an old acquaintance outside a luxury restaurant. The man hesitates, barely recognizing him. "Hey, it's me, Whitmore. I just need some help, just for a little while." The man shifts uncomfortably. "Sorry, I can't." Whitmore clenches his jaw. "I gave you business deals worth millions." The man sighs. "And now you're nothing. I have to go." He walks away, leaving Whitmore standing there in disbelief. By the end of the day, hunger gnaws at his stomach. He checks his pockets. Nothing. With no other choice, he heads toward a community shelter, the very kind of place he once mocked. His hands tremble as he stands in line for food, avoiding eye contact with the others around him. This is what rock bottom feels like. The line moves slowly. Whitmore keeps his head down, ashamed. The smell of warm food fills the air. It reminds him of his past life, of the expensive meals he once took for granted. Finally, he reaches the front. He looks up, and his heart stops. Behind the counter, serving food, stands Lisa Carter. She looks different, stronger, more confident. Her uniform is neat, her hair pulled back. She's not struggling anymore. For a moment, neither of them speak. Whitmore grips the edge of the counter. His throat is dry. Lisa meets his eyes. There's no hate in them, no gloating, just quiet understanding. "You..." Whitmore's voice cracks. "You work here?" Lisa nods. "I got a stable job. A few months ago, a woman at a shelter helped me when no one else would." She pauses. "I decided to do the same for others." Whitmore looks away, shame burning through him. Lisa doesn't make him beg. She simply picks up a plate and fills it with steaming food. When she hands it to him, her fingers brush his for a second. "You don't have to say anything," she says. "Just eat." Whitmore stares at the plate. Real food. Warm food. Something inside him breaks. He whispers, "I'm sorry." Lisa doesn't respond. She simply moves to the next person in line. Whitmore eats in silence, sitting in the corner of the shelter. He watches Lisa as she works, laughing with volunteers, talking gently to families. She survived. She thrived. And he? He lost everything. But for the first time in his life, he understands. Money isn't power. Kindness is. A month later, Whitmore is still at the shelter, still struggling, but different now. He helps clean up after meals. He listens to people's stories. He learns humility. One evening, as he wipes down tables, Lisa walks over. "You're not the same man you used to be," she says. Whitmore looks up. "I don't deserve kindness after what I did to you." Lisa shrugs. "Maybe not, but that's not the point." He nods, understanding. As she walks away, he realizes something. Karma didn't just punish him. It changed him.